you have a practice or are you running a business? Valuation is the ultimate KPI.
Hey there, welcome to the Modern Financial Advisor podcast, brought to you by Truelytics, the premier transition management, business optimization, and recruiting platform for the wealth management and insurance industries. My name is Mike Langford, and I'm the host of the Modern Financial Advisor podcast. And this week on the show, we're going to be talking about recruiting. You may have noticed that I tacked on recruiting to the intro there. And that's because we're launching True Recruit on the Truelytics platform. And I thought it would be a really good idea to dive into the drivers of what makes an individual advisor or a team of advisors receptive to the notion of changing firms, right? Because not everybody is in the market right now to move, right? Some people are just happy where they are, and not much you could say is going to get them to leave their current broker-dealer or custodian and come over to your team. So I thought it'd be really important for us to dive into that a little bit. Now, later in the show, I've got an expert. I've got Matthew Bassick. He is a leading expert and advisor and consultant helping world-class wealth management firms attract top-performing advisors. And if you check out Matthew on LinkedIn, and of course, if you listen to the podcast here at length, you're going to hear that wealth of experience come through, right? He's seen it all, been recruiting for over 20 years in the space, working for top firms. So he really knows his stuff. And frankly, he was part of the inspiration for the True Recruit product being added into the Truelytics platform. So really, really excited that we could get him on the show. So before we get into Matthew, I want to dive into something that I'm thinking about as I approach recruiting for the space. So recruiting advisors to your firm is crucial, right? To the long-term viability and frankly, the sustainability of your firm, right? Without recruiting new advisors to your business, it's going to shrink over time, right? Some amount of attrition is inevitable. So recruiting is fundamental to the growth of your firm, both in terms of advisor count and AUM, right? The financial results that follow those hopefully will grow as a result of bringing new advisors in. But it's also important for the growth of your business and the way you do business. When you bring new brains into the operation, if you will, new practices, new personalities, younger folks at times, you're going to modernize the business. You're going to keep the business fresh. And that's really important to make sure your business is always cutting edge, that you're not falling behind the competition. You know, when it comes to assessing whether an advisor is in the zone to be recruited, right? Whether they're receptive to being recruited or not. I have this saying that I've become kind of pseudo famous for, and I've got a rated PG version of it here that I'll share with you. But I always say, look, you're either telling someone or selling someone on the promise of helping them not die, or you're selling them on the promise of how to win the girl or win the guy, right? Because what that means is there are only two hardwired motivations in human beings, right? Avoiding death and procreation. Everything else is kind of somewhere in that continuum. But, here's the thing to remember. Way more people are motivated by procreation than avoiding death. In fact, people will risk dying just to get the guy or to get the girl, right? And they do that in business as well, right? There's a reason why sales guys who land $1 million clients, that they're compensated much, much more than an accountant who saves the company $1 million because he discovered a way to reduce costs. By the way, the accountant saves $1 million all of the $1 million goes to the bottom line. The business literally got $1 million more profitable, right? He helped you not die. But the sales guy goes out and lands $1 million of revenue. Well, there's going to be costs associated with that revenue. So he didn't make you $1 million, but it's more exciting, right? It's procreation. It's growth. He got the guy, he got the gal, right? So we reward it more in business. In fact, we spend more, we invest more, we take more risks to go out and get new business. And that's true in your recruiting efforts as well. And it's true of the receptivity of advisors, right? Advisors are motivated by different things. Some of them are motivated to grow and achieve more. And some of them are motivated to not die. I was listening to another podcast recently, and it was on the Wolf of Wall Street movie. And in the podcast, there was an interview portion with Jon Favreau, who is an actor in the movie. He's also a big-time director and producer. Movies like Iron Man. He's also producing and directed a couple episodes, I think, of the new Mandalorian show that's on Disney Plus. So really, really smart dude. And he was talking about how, look, there's only two types of stories to tell. There are aspirational stories and there's cautionary tales. It's similar to my little saying there of, people not dying and people looking to get the girl or get the guy. But think about the story that the advisors you're trying to attract to your firm are living in. They're either living in an aspirational tale and they're looking to grow. They're looking for the next broker dealer that can help them go to the next level. They need more resources. They need a higher commission because, man, oh man, I'm growing like crazy. I need somebody who can help me attract other advisors to my business. I need younger, junior advisors on the team. I need other support systems for my business. And then there's some advisors who are like, look, life's not going that well, right? They're in a lot of pain. They feel like they're living a cautionary tale. They need a lifeline, right? They need a reset and reboot, maybe. Now, knowing this helps you in attracting advisors. Knowing who you're talking to and what's motivated them and what will make them receptive helps you in a couple of ways. Number one, it helps you in your messaging, your marketing, the approach that you take to go attract those folks. But number two, it helps you from a business perspective. Because there are different things that need to be in place if you're helping people grow their business rapidly than if you have a business where you're kind of helping advisors out of their cautionary tale with a reset and a reboot. You also may have some advisors who are in harvest mode. They're like, look, I just want to go to a place where I can run my existing business profitably. I'm on the back nine of the career. I'm not looking to grow. I'm looking and thinking about succession planning and transition. Well, there's a business model there. You can set your broker-dealer or your custodian apart by thinking about who you're trying to attract and what they're going through. Okay, long intro there, but this is a really exciting show, and I think you're going to get a ton out of my conversation with Matthew. I know I did. So, as always, buckle up, grab a beverage, and here we go with Matthew. Well, Matthew, thank you very much for joining me on the show today. I'm really excited to have you because, when I teed up this topic of exploring recruiting for broker-dealers and RIA firms, kind of from a different angle than I've heard other folks talk about it, Terry Mullen was super excited. He says, hey, we're going to get Matthew on the phone. Like, he's got so much experience in this space. And in fact, he was kind of a bit of an inspiration for True Recruit. So I'm like, well, that sounds exciting. So let's get him on the phone. So here we are.
Terrific.
Yeah. So, maybe to kind of set the stage for folks who've never met you, kind of maybe give a little bit of your background on how you got here. And I always jokingly call this the IMDb segment of the show, right? The Internet Movie Database. Like, kind of tell people a little bit about your journey. What movies have you been in, and how'd you get to where you are today?
Thankfully, no movies. They don't want cameras on me. But I'm 25 years in financial services. I started out in the business on the product side, wholesaling, and then fairly quickly got into the recruiting in the independent broker-dealer space. First, many years ago at Advisor Group, then joined First Allied Securities, was with First Allied in Cetera for 12 years, ran recruiting at First Allied for most of my time there, and at the end at Cetera. I spent time with Atria Wealth Solutions running recruiting for them for about a year and a half. So it's been a journey with a number of firms through some ups and downs, but seen a lot, met a lot of financial advisors through the years and trying to attract them to our broker dealers, and really enjoyed that experience and bringing financial advisors to a better place.
Very nice. Right. So what do you personally, I mean, because you have so much experience, you must have developed just like frankly, a passion for recruiting. What is it about recruiting that really attracted you to it in the first place and kind of kept you excited all these years?
I'm really a relationship-based salesperson and have been for my entire career. That fits really well in the world of recruiting. Recruiting and moving practice, whether it's to a new custodian or to a new broker dealer, is a serious undertaking not to be taken lightly. That involves a whole lot of different factors. So it's providing information on what a business will look like in a new business situation, and also earning the trust and the understanding from the advisor that I will lead them to a better path, to a better place for them, their business, and their clients. And that really was a joy for me, because it's taking someone and helping them improve their business and in fact, their life.
Very nice. So it's interesting that I love that you're focusing on, at least as I hear it, kind of the emotional pieces, right? Of recruiting and of helping the advisor with the next step in their journey. And then, of course, on the recruiting business side, it's like same thing, right? Bringing new talent into the fold and the like. In the prep for this, you and I were chatting along with Terry on a call, and I kind of shared my epiphany that I stole from John Favreau there, talking about how there's only two types of stories, right? We have the aspirational story and the cautionary tale. And I love the fact that, what you're talking about there is absolutely feeding into that, right? That you look at an advisor, some of them are looking to grow fast. They feel like they've got the bull by the horns, if you will, and they're looking to move to the next firm that can help them achieve their goals. And then on the flip side, there are some advisors that might be feeling like, man, oh man, do I need a change, right? It's not going as well as I hoped. Have you seen both of those types of climates over the years?
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree 100%. I always talked about two scenarios: either moving to gain something for the business, for their clients, for their practice, or paying, leaving a situation that is unfavorable, whether it's bad service, whether it's a branch manager clash, whether it's a disagreement with the management of the firm. Either moving to improve based on a positive, or leaving to get away from something that is unfavorable.
So one of the things I wanted to dive into a little bit deeper and really kind of pick your brain on, and Terry mentioned this about where when you shared your experience on the current and past process for recruiting at firms, and frankly, how manual some parts of it were. He said it was really an eye opener for him. It was just, kind of like that, the clouds open and that beam of light comes through that, like, wow, oh yeah, this is a problem worth solving. I wonder if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about, kind of the current and the historical process for recruiting advisors into firms.
Sure. Recruiting is a tough sport to be in. It's generally a long process and a long sales cycle. You're selling a solution, not a product. It's an important decision that's not to be taken lightly. Moving an advisor's business, whether it's 50 million of assets, 100 million, several hundred million, or even billions of dollars, is something that takes diligent planning, hard work, and proper execution. The process in general has sort of remained the same in the 20 odd years I've been doing it, but technology and other factors have helped it evolve. It starts with the initial contract and an expression of interest. Firms and custodians exert a great deal of money and effort in engaging qualified prospects through a number of different means: advertising, thought leadership offerings, direct mail, digital engagement, referrals, and good old cold calling. Once a prospect is engaged, the story is told and the value proposition of the firm or custodian is presented. A good recruiter uncovers the needs, desires, and pain points that are identified through a series of engagements, collateral delivery, and consultation with both the recruiter and subject matter experts and the management team at the firm or custodian. It's generally a series of calls, conference calls, webinars, in-person meetings, whether at the advisor's office or a mutual meeting place. And in many cases, with a qualified prospect, the advisor invited to come into the home office and meet face-to-face with the team that they'll potentially be doing business with. It also allows the management team at the firm or custodian to meet the new prospect and see if it's somebody that they're interested in attracting to their business. This is a highly recommended step for both parties to look someone in the eye and understand who you'll be doing business with. This is when the task really gets complicated. In order to move forward for both parties, the prospect will gather information on their business. The recruiter gets information on the advisor's business and maps out how it'll work and operate and function in a new business environment. And they take this information and they create a pro forma. In many cases, a pro forma is presented to the advisor that shows them what the economics will look like for their business at the new firm or custodian, particularly an employee advisor who's going independent or becoming a registered investment advisor. It's a useful tool to see the numbers at the end of the day after expenses. The firm and the custodian uses their pro forma to set pricing and deal terms and puts them in a position to make an offer to the advisor. Gathering that information is really often an arduous task. Advisors are busy running their business and their practice, getting detailed information on their assets, their revenue, their accounts, the products in their portfolio, trade detail, and other items like this. Often involves different systems and technologies, and it's a very manual process. Traditionally, this information was either mailed or faxed or emailed to the firm. Here, I think, shows one of the great benefits of Truelytics, the advisor transition management system, and TrueRecruit. The ability to gather, compile, and seamlessly feed that data into the firm or custodian CRM and profitability model is a tremendous benefit and makes the process much easier. Furthermore, if the advisor takes advantage of the True Performance tool, not only do they get the view into their business and their valuation and comparative metrics against the landscape, it gives the firm or custodian a real unmatched ability to make a decision on who they want to do business with. Instead of just looking at revenue and assets, which really allows the firm or custodian to make an educated guess on what the advisor will look like at their firm, it allows them to make a fundamentally based decision on who they want to partner with. I think it's a tremendous benefit to those trying to make smart decisions on who to do business with.
That's fantastic. It's so interesting and so relatable, I think, for advisors and executives at firms, not only because they're probably well aware of how labor intensive their own process is, but if it's an advisor on the recruited person, right? The recruitee, I guess, on their side of the equation, there's probably a lot of apprehension about any move, obviously. And it's not just about the, devil you know versus the devil you don't know kind of type of concept, but there is that work apprehension you just described, right? That this is going to be all consuming. I'm going to have to put my life on hold and do a whole lot of extra work in order to facilitate this move. And there, they just know that, there's no guarantee that it's going to come out the way they want and all that type of stuff. So anything you could do to remove that friction is absolutely beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. If in deciding to make a move, an advisor now has a new job. It's not managing client assets. It's not financial planning. It's not providing solutions. It's moving accounts, whether it's to a new custodian or a new firm. That's a very detailed and long process that takes a lot of work and effort and diligence from the advisor and their staff.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's a I would say a magnified version, right, of what a retail client goes through when they're moving from one financial advisor to another financial advisor, right? There is this process of like, oh man, I'm going to go through all my accounts. I got to look at everything. I'm going to meet with this person. There's probably going to be lots of emails. There's going to be lots of forms to fill out, and I'm going to have to move my accounts to one. You magnify that 1,000 times, right? In terms of just so many more accounts, so many more client relationships that you may lose if something goes wrong in the process. So there's probably a lot of apprehension involved as well.
Absolutely.
So what do you see as some of the biggest challenges facing firms right now as it relates to recruiting? I know I'm asking you to speculate a bit because the biggest pain points from firm to firm is going to vary. But as you look at the landscape across the industry, what do you think are some of the the biggest challenges that are facing most firms?
As the business and our industry evolves and changes, there's a tremendous opportunity to earn the business of advisors seeking a new and a better partner. The great opportunity also creates great competition. There are a couple of themes, I think, that go out there in this landscape. Firms and custodians, and even more so OSJs and RIAs, without deep pockets and vast resources, are put at a big disadvantage. They're competing against huge advertising and marketing budgets, large and well-staffed recruiting teams, and today, a number of major independent firms offering transition assistance at dollar amounts that have never been seen before. On top of that, margins are shrinking for firms and custodians alike. And in a perfect storm, on top of that, there seems to be a race to zero. Free trades, no and low-cost investment products, and marketing and revenue sharing arrangements are shrinking and in many cases being eliminated. Differentiation is something that puts firms, custodians, and RAs in a great advantage in recruiting. The challenge here is effectively documenting this advantage, and the bigger challenge is effectively communicating your message out to the broad community. The aging population of financial advisors presents another challenge in recruiting. There are simply not enough young, qualified advisors in our business, and the competition for them is intense. With employee firms to a large degree eliminating or shrinking training programs, this traditional feeder system for custodians and independent firms is drying up. There's not enough financial planning programs in higher education institutions to fill the gap. And although they've seen some recent increase in these programs, and many in the industry are advocating and volunteering in these programs, the feeder systems are changing dramatically. Providing that aging advisor with a successor to purchase their business is a great way to attract advisors, but there are a glut of buyers in this market, which creates a competitive challenge. Many of the smart firms, OSJs and RAs, are packaging and documenting succession packages to attract these advisors who are seeking short and long-term succession plans. The amount of advisors that move ebbs and flows, but these prospects have a plethora of options, and everybody's competing to earn their business. Understanding how your business will operate in a new environment is a big challenge for an advisor seeking to make a change, as custodians and firms do their best to present their solution as the best solution out there. It's hard for an advisor to know what their business is going to look like in a new business, and it's a real tough thing to evaluate.
I agree with you 100%. It's really interesting, and you hit upon something that I spend a lot of time thinking about, and I've been spending a lot of time thinking about over the last several years, is that this need to scale. It's not just on at the firm level; it's also at the advisor level, right? Because as you mentioned, margin compression. Uh, there's this need to be able to serve more clients, more assets at a lower price, and that's also true at the firm level in that they're going to need to serve more advisors because they're going to have to bring more advisors under the roof because they're going to need their AUM in order to scale. And there's this, a level of urgency there to bring them in and to get bigger somewhat quicker. Uh, what are some of the, it's kind of tease up my next topic here, some of the kind of extreme or comedic things maybe that you've seen over the years happen as firms try to attract advisors? I mean, I recall one event where I was brought in to speak at a recruiting dinner at a big steakhouse, and the firm had filled the room with all sorts of advisors, invited them from the area, and they were going to have me come in and speak and talk about digital marketing for advisors and how the firm could help them. And I was, I'm prepped and I'm a professional speaker. I spent a lot of time up in front of crowds, but I was wowed by the anxiety level of the CEO of this company. He was literally sweating and pacing back and forth and just rehearsing his, introducing himself to the point of like literally saying his name. Like, hi, my name is such and such, and I'm the CEO, and just kind of going through it. And I've never seen a person that nervous before they go up on stage. So right before we got started, he took a breath and I said, oh, you're excited about tonight? A lot, big spend. And he's like, here's the deal, Mike. If I land 2 of these advisors tonight, and there was well over 100 in the room, this event pays for itself. It's basically break even. If I get 3, this is a windfall. These advisors come in and they're going to be with us for years. This is a massive success. So all I need is 3 to be successful. And that really kind of put things in perspective for me. But I also found it pretty funny that this guy was really just willing to put himself out there and be so nervous and uncomfortable, out of his element, if you will, just to bring on new advisors.
Yeah, unfortunately for folks in my position, recruiting is a highly inefficient sport. It's expensive and it's a very competitive landscape. So that story does not surprise me in the least. I can think of a couple of funny stories that have happened over the years in trying to recruit qualified financial advisors, and maybe I'll share a couple of you I get a good chuckle out of. The biggest part of what I love about being a recruiter and running recruiting teams, as I said, was meeting financial advisors, different types of people with different businesses, and getting to really understand how they think about their business, how they service their clients, and the way they try and grow their business on a day-to-day and year-to-year basis. So all kinds of people in all kinds of different situations. I remember one time years ago, a branch manager here at a local wirehouse in San Diego, whose branch had seen some pretty serious attrition through a number of advisors being recruited away. I was training a junior recruiter and listening in on his cold calls as he was out prospecting. The branch manager sounded older, and when we looked him up in our database, he was indeed nearly 70 years old, but was so frustrated, he began cursing at my recruiter and threatened to come down the street to our office and beat him up. I got a pretty good chuckle out of that.
That's funny. That's the old school business, right? How would you like a knuckle sandwich, as they said in the old days? That's fantastic. That's great. So, kind of getting towards the end here, but what are some, I guess, because you've been in this space for so long and you've likely seen everything. What are some words of wisdom, if you want to say, kind of a couple of guiding principles maybe you would share with recruiters, but also with advisors as they're thinking about making the change, right? As they're moving into the next phase of their career.
I think the biggest thing, other than pricing, other than payout, other than the financials of an offer from a new firm or custodian, is really understanding who you're doing business with. because these, as we've discussed, these moves are not easy nor simple nor easy to execute. So the idea is not to hop around. If you're going to make a move, find the right partner and stay with them, ideally for the rest of your career. Understanding and trusting the people that you're going to be doing business with, that are going to service your business, that are going to supervise your business from a compliance perspective, and the management team that's leading that firm or custodian, understanding who they are, believing that they will be a trusted partner is key both for the firm or custodian and for the advisor. It's really wanting to go into business with people you want to be in business with. We all are out as recruiters and firms and custodians to attract more assets, to attract more revenue, to attract more advisors. But all of us would prefer to find better partners, ones we believe are going to grow, ones that are going to run business in a way that matches with the philosophy of our firm, and one that has a passion for helping folks solve their financial needs, whether it be retirement, funding college, generational wealth transfer. Someone that has the same values and the same fundamentals of business that I, as the advisor, have, and I, as the firm, want to see as customers of our firm.
That's amazing. That's a really well said there. I think that overall, like making sure that it's going to be successful from a cultural fit, right, in addition to monetary fit, is so important. I'm sure like we've just teed up a whole bunch of questions and curiosity from listeners, be there on the corporate side, the broker dealer, RIA side, or individual advisors. I'm sure people are going to want to reach out to you and chat with you more, and they're going to be curious to pick your brain maybe. What's the best way for people to find you?
The phone always works. My phone number is 619-846-8870. Like I said, the joy for me in this business is the people and the relationships that I had, and I'd certainly look forward to chatting with anybody who's interested.
That's wonderful. Well, Matthew, I really appreciate your time today, and I'm so excited that Terry teed up this call for the two of us, because it's been a pleasure getting to know you and kind of just sitting there and drinking in the from the fire hose all the wisdom you've had over the years.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed the conversation, and we'll speak with you soon.
All right. Huge thanks to Matthew Bassick for joining us today. I know I personally found it very informative and frankly, a bit inspiring to have him on the show because of all the wealth of experience and insights that he has developed and honed over that 20 plus years of experience helping wealth management firms recruit high-end advisors into the fold. Really, just like I said, informative and inspiring. It was great. Thank you, Matthew. And thank you for joining us on the show. It's always great to hear from people like yourself. Please do send in your suggestions, mike@truelytics.com or podcast@truelytics. It'll get to us. And of course, make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done so already. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, you name it. And then, of course, swing by truelytics.com. A lot has changed on the site and some new offerings like True Recruiter. There you can learn more about the solution and how it can help your advisors, or if you are an advisor, how it can help you and your business. So do that, check it out. And as always, we hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time on the Modern Financial Advisor podcast. See ya. Bye.